Alright, I'm going to be talking about the portrayal of roofies in One Tree Hill. So in the first season, there is an episode where Peyton and Brooke, two high school students and best friends, decide to go to a college party. And Brooke goes off to talk to some guy, and so Peyton wanders down a hallway. Peyton is on the left, by the way. So Peyton wanders down a hallway and finds this guy listening to music, which is something really intriguing to Peyton throughout the whole television series. And so she starts to chat him up, and they start discussing the artist he was playing, and eventually he offers her a drink. And she tries to say no at first, but he kind of charms her into it. And so he grabs her a drink, but when he goes to get it, we see him put this pill in her drink, and it kind of looks like a whiskey bottle right there as well, so there might be some alcohol involved. And I'm guessing it's Rohypnol because it's in pill form. Another popular date rape drug is obviously GHB, but that is usually in a liquid form, at least when it's being used. So, yeah, we're gonna call this Rohypnol. It's especially evident because of the effects that we see later on. So she takes this drink, and then we start to see her. She's laying down. She's more relaxed. She's very confused. She's speaking slowly, and she asks him, "Did you put something in my drink?" And he just kind of starts pushing her back onto the bed, making advances towards her as she's saying no and trying to push him off. But she's weak now, so those efforts kind of fall flat. Luckily, Brooke comes in and finds her before anything too terrible happens. But as you can see, Peyton's leaning all over Brooke and she can barely hold herself up. So she brings Peyton back to her house, where she sleeps for a really long time. We don't really know how long. And her friend Lucas, who's at her bedside there, has to recount the whole story of the night to her because she doesn't remember anything. So let's look into Rohypnol really quick specifically and its pharmacodynamics. So Rohypnol binds to benzodiazepine receptors, called BNZ1 and BNZ2, to mediate sleep and influence muscle relaxation, anticonvulsant activity, coordination, and memory. These receptors are thought to be coupled to GABA receptors, which increase GABA's effect by increasing the GABA affinity for the GABA receptor. That's a lot of GABA. The binding of the inhibitory neurotransmitter fans to the site opens the chloride channel, which causes an overpolarized cell membrane that ends up preventing further cell excitation, which is why we have this relaxed effect associated with Rohypnol. So the pharmacokinetics, it's absorbed orally through the digestive tract, and then for distribution it goes from digestive to circulatory to eventually the brain, where we see these effects showing up through memory and weakness. And then there's the metabolism aspect. Rohypnol's effects can last anywhere from 8 to 26 hours as it continues to break down in the body. And then excretion is renal, and 84% of the radiolabeled dose is excreted through urine. So is this depiction super accurate? I would say it's pretty accurate. We see the loss of muscle control. She can't really push the guy off of her. The memory loss is very clear. And I mean, they were at a college, they had to take her across town to her house, so she had to, like, get out of the one building, get into her car, go up the stairs to her room when she finally got to her house. So there's a lot of movement and things going on, and so it's pretty obvious that she forgets all of that. There's confusion. When Brooke shows up, she's not really even excited, showing that drowsiness. She is just saying Brooke's name. She's still kind of confused, so slow to speak. The only reason I would say this depiction isn't so much accurate is because some of my resources were saying Rohypnol can have kind of this peak effect of paralyzation, and we never saw that, at least in the episode with Peyton. I mean, there are other storylines going on at the same time, so it could have just been what they chose to depict or show us or write about for the series. But we never saw her body totally freeze up We just kind of saw her having these drowsiness effects, and then she was in bed sleeping. So whether or not that happened in between in this fictional storyline, we're not sure. Um, Another thing with this peak is their eyes, the victim's eyes, can sometimes glass over and they just kind of freeze up. So we didn't see either of those things, which would be the only reason to discredit this depiction. Otherwise, I think they did a pretty good job without going too disturbingly detailed um, of showing the effects of Rohypnol and how it can mess up the human body and nervous system.